नमः शिवायेति शिवं प्रपद्ये शिवप्रसीदेति शिवं प्रपद्ये शिवात् परन्नेति शिवं प्रपद्ये शिवोऽहमस्मीति शिवं प्रपद्ये. In the previous satsanga, in the 15th shloka of Shivanandalahari, we saw the story of how Parameshwara manifested as that infinite column of light, the ends of which even Brahma and Vishnu were unable to find. And that same column of light to this day continues to bless us in Tiruvannamalai as Arunachala. Arunachala Mahatmyam says, Darshanat Abhrasadasi Jananat Kamalalaye Kashyantu Maranan Muktihi Smaranat Arunachalam. There are many ways to attain mukti in the Shaiva Sampradaya. One of the ways is by having a darshana of that Tillai Chidambareshwara. But for that, you'll have to travel all the way to Chidambaram. You will have to go there, you have to get into the line, go in the queue, and have a darshanam of that Tillai Nataraja. But if you have really seen that Tillai Nataraja, then mukti is guaranteed. It's not simply going in front of the deity and uh, pretending to have a lot of bhakti. If you can really see that Nataraja with the same bhavam that Manikya Vasagar saw, then you can have mukti right then and there. Or Jananath Kamalalaye. You have to be born in Thiruvarur kshetram. Very few people have that opportunity, and now that we are here, if we weren't already born in Tiruvarur, there's not much that we can do about it now. Or there's a third way, Kashyantu Maranan Muktihi. If while leaving this body, if you are in that Kashi Kshetra, then Mukti is guaranteed. But even this is not possible for everyone. Only if that Kashi Vishwanatha decides, then it is possible. There's a story of one grandmother who decided that she is going to leave her body in Kashi and nowhere else. So after a certain age, she just went and settled down in Kashi, and she had decided no matter what, she will not step outside the boundary of Kashi. Then it so happened that there was a function in their house. So her son came all the way from Tamil Nadu, and he tried everything that he can do to convince her to attend that function. She said, no, no matter what, I am not stepping outside Kashi. Then, after a lot of convincing, after a lot of emotional discussions, she finally said, okay, I will come. But the moment the function is over, the very next minute, I'm going to leave. He said, no problem. I will book the tickets in such a way that you will spend minimum time there. You will just come, attend the function, and then the moment the function is over, I myself will personally come with you all the way back to Kashi and drop you. She said, okay, fine. She agreed to that. The day of the function came, she got into the train. The moment the train reached the next station and it crossed the border of Kashi, that grandmother was no more. So even to leave your body in Kashi, just if you decide that, okay, after a certain age, I'm going to settle down in Kashi, even then, there is a possibility that your Maranam will not actually happen in Kashi unless you have the Agnya or the Anugraha of Vishwanath. Then what is the way? If we are not blessed enough to be born in Tiruvarur, if we are not blessed enough to get the opportunity to leave our body in Kashi, or if you're not blessed enough to get a darshanam of that Tillai Nataraja, then what do we do? Smaranat Arunachalam. If you just close your eyes and think of Arunachala, then mukti is guaranteed for you. And the greatest example of this is the sage of Arunachala, Sri Ramana Maharshi. When he was a young boy, he was just like any other young boy going to school, playing with his friends, doing all of that. So during his initial days, nobody even thought that this boy would eventually become a spiritual giant who could guide so many thousands and thousands of spiritual seekers across the world. He was just a normal boy like anyone else. But one day, a guest came to their house. And very normally, very casually, he asked, where are you coming from? Because when someone comes home and you don't know who this person is, you will ask them who they are and where they're coming from. So when he asked him where he's coming from, the guest replied and said, I'm coming from Arunachala. And the moment he heard this, there was a current that passed through his entire body, because until now, he didn't know that someone could go to Arunachalam and come back. For him, Arunachalam was Ishwara. It was a place, somewhere far away, somewhere beyond the reach of human beings. But here was this person standing right in front of him who claims to be from Arunachalam. So this boy was just so excited, he was ecstatic, and he asked, Arunachalam, where is it? How can I go there? And the guest was very confused. He replied and said, well, don't you know Tiruvannamalai? That is Arunachalam. And this was the beginning. Just that name that he heard, Arunachalam, that itself was enough. Because the moment that happened, Arunachala has started his magic. He who manifested as that infinite column of light, Apatala Nabhastalanta Bhuvana Brahmandama Vispurad Jyoti. That light which extends beyond the heavens and the hells, that infinite column of light will enter your heart and start operating through grace. Bhagavan himself says in Aksharamanammalai, பெயர் நினைத்திடவே பிடித்திழுத்தனை உன் பெருமையார் அறிவார் அருணாச்சலா. As soon as I thought of your name, you just dragged me towards you. Who can understand your greatness? Who can understand your grace? And how did this grace manifest? A few months later, he got a copy of the Periya Puranam, which is the life story of the 63 Nayanmars saints who were the greatest Shiva Bhaktas to have ever lived. And each and every page spoke to him. Each and every story in that, it is said Bhagavan read with tears in his eyes, with horripilation, with goosebumps. He read the Periya Purana. And after he finished reading that, on one particular day, suddenly this happened where he felt that he's going to die for no reason. There was no health problem, there was nothing to account for this kind of thought, whether there was no death in the family, nothing like that, but just suddenly out of nowhere, this young boy Venkataraman felt that he is going to die. And in order to give more reality to the situation, what he did is he actually slept like a dead body. He didn't feel like going out and asking someone. That day he just happened to be home, and he didn't feel like going and asking someone about this, consulting some elders about this and asking them why he's feeling this way. He just decided, okay, death has come. So he slept like a dead body. He kept his body very stiff. He closed his lips tight, and he even held his breath so that he can enact that situation. And now, when he was sleeping like a dead body, he started inquiring within, who is this I? I feel like I am going to die. This body is going to die. Now, if they go and cremate this body, do I die? After the death of this body, do I still continue to live? A very deep inquiry happened within him at the same time, but it was not as verbal as we express it. Bhagavan himself says it was not a verbal inquiry but a more intuitive inquiry. Who is going to die? What is death? Is it the death of the body, or is it the death of something else? If it's the body that dies, once this body has been taken to the cremation ground and cremated, do I die? And as he inquired within, he realized the real nature of the Atma, that Satchidananda Chaitanya, which does not die, and he realized his own deathless nature. Just like that, in a matter of few minutes, the young boy Venkataraman became Ramana Maharshi. And it was the grace of that Arunachala that came as this death experience. Because Parameshwara is the Antaka. He is the person who dissolves the entire world, because this world is nothing but Ajnana. The world that we see it only because of Ajnana. And what does Parameshwara do as the dissolver? He dissolves our Ajnana. He stands before us as death. He comes to us in the form of death, only to show us that we are the self that never dies. The death of the body is meant to show us that the self never dies. And after this, his life was never the same. Because after seeing that truth which the Vedic rishis declare and say, Veda hametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasaf parastat. The Vedic rishi declares, I have seen that truth which is the light beyond darkness. I have seen that Mahat Tattva. I have seen that ultimate reality. So after seeing this, his life was never the same. He just continued doing whatever he was supposed to do, going to school and all of that, but with very little interest in any of those activities, more and more inclined towards meditation, to the point that his family would jokingly call him Jnani, Yogi, and all of that, but he never bothered about any of this. And one day, what happened? His older brother, who had the responsibility of the entire family on his shoulders, he said, what is the point of him living like this? Because he saw that this boy was clearly not interested in studies. In the middle of doing his homework, he would just keep his notebooks aside and sit in meditation. So in that moment of frustration, the older brother just said, why is all this required for someone who wants to sit and meditate anyway? Why is this school and college and all of this education, all of this required for someone who wants to sit and meditate all day? And these kind of insults, Bhagavan has heard it multiple times before, but at that moment he thought about it and he said, well, my brother is right. What is any of this going to do for me? Now that I've decided that the purpose of my life is to abide in that self which I have realized, what good is all of this going to do to me? So he realized there is no point in staying here anymore. And again, the grace operates, and the only thing that shines in his heart is that Nama Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva. So he decides to go there. He doesn't know what he's going to do, he doesn't know how he's going to do it, but he decides that Arunachala is now his life. Bhagavan says in the Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Those who live in such a way that their only thought is me, and apart from me they don't entertain any other thoughts, or they have no other ambitions apart from realizing me, and to worship me is their only goal in life. For them, whatever is required, I will carry it to them. Bhagavan says, Vahami. I will literally carry it on my head and deliver it to them. And that Mahashakti made it happen so that Ramana Maharshi just told his family that he's going for a special class, and at the same time, his brother said, on the way to school, just collect five, go ask. I've kept 5 rupees inside. Take that 5 rupees and go pay my college fees. Since my college is anyway on the way to your school, pay this 5 rupees and as my college fee, and then go to college, then go to school. Now he knows with this money he can buy a train ticket. He calculates and he realizes that only around 3 rupees would be required for him to travel to Tiruvannamalai. So he takes that. The other 2 rupees he just keeps it somewhere along with a letter. In that letter he writes, in search of my father and in obedience to his command, I have started from here. This is a very virtuous activity. Nobody has to sit and grieve over this, and please do not try to find me. And he also says to his brother who had given him the 5 rupees to pay his college fees, he says, your college fees has not yet been paid, and the remaining money is here with this letter. And after writing this letter, he just writes thus, and there is an empty line there. Because typically you would write yours truly, yours lovingly, and sign your name there. But that ego which has to sign is not there. To sign, there has to be a person identified with this body, identified with this name, and that signature is what is affixed at the end of a letter. But that has been completely destroyed in that fire of self knowledge. So he just writes thus, leaves it blank, and goes from there. And even while going there, he has no idea that Tiruvannamalai is a railway station by itself. He buys a ticket to some other place. Then someone on the train corrects him and says, "No, you can actually get down at Virupuram and take the train straight to Tiruvannamalai." But on the way, he runs out of money. All of this is happening, but somewhere that deep longing for Arunachala is there. So that Shakti takes him. Every step of the way, the grace of Arunachala is carrying him forward. Initially, we saw that he bought a ticket to the wrong station, and it was a kind co passenger who pointed that out. Then he got down there, he had some food at a nearby hotel, and the hotel owner didn't charge him any money because he saw that this boy has very little money left with him. Then he walked a great distance and he went to a temple and asked for food. The person in the temple didn't give him the food, and the person who plays drums in the temple, he saw this and he asked the adhikari to give his share of food to this young boy. So, like this, at every stage, someone was helping him out. And then he went to the house of one Bhagavatar to ask for food, and that day happened to be Krishna Janmashtami. So, this Bhagavatar and his wife, they were very happy. They welcomed him, this young boy coming to their house on Janmashtami. They saw him as Sri Krishna himself. They welcomed him. They gave him food, and he gave his golden earrings to them and said, "Please keep these with you. I have lost all my belongings, so I would like to borrow some money from you. Later, I'll come and return your money and reclaim my earrings." And the Bhagavatar also felt that this boy is not someone who would cheat us. He's genuinely someone who's in a difficult situation. So he decided to help him out and he gave him that money. The Bhagavatar's wife also packed a lot of food that was offered as Naivedyam and gave it to him so that he can carry it on his way and eat it if he felt hungry. And with this money that he got from that Bhagavatar, Bhagavan purchased a ticket to Tiruvannamalai, the promised land, the house of his father. We'll continue this in the next satsang. Shiva Shiva.